A woman that constantly tries to compete with you might seem cute at first. Honestly, it does sometimes too. But it's a test of your competency as a man. And it's an underhanded behavior that ultimately aims to reduce your worth to her. Moff, do me a favor, put the ticker up for the red flags at the bottom. Guys, if you haven't read the book, fine. You don't even have to get it. Opt into my email list. You can download the 21 red flags absolutely for free that we're covering here tonight. These are just 3 of them of the 21. So if you're new to the channel, all that, you can go grab it there for free. Continuing on, the female primary social order tells women that they are better than men, and it's why we see the rise of the boss girl on social media. You see this all the time, hashtag boss girl, right? I once dated a woman that competed with her brother growing up, and that competitive behavior continued into her relationship with me. I can tell you firsthand, that's freaking exhausting. It's really draining on you. It certainly robs you of your joy and the comfort that's supposed to come out of a long-term relationship. It's a red flag because when women compete against you, she thinks that she's better than you. A woman that thinks that she's better than you will not respect you and will ultimately try to undermine you. For a woman to satisfy her hypergamy, she must feel like she's with a man that in her eyes is at least 1 to 2 sexual market value points more than she is. A woman won't try to compete with you when she believes your value is greater. She will instead admire you. Remember, women want to be with a giant. She wants to look up to you. Hypergamy never seeks its own level. It can only be satisfied if it does better than itself. A woman constantly competing in her long-term relationship or with a husband is always a prelude to a train wreck. I'm going to say this. The notion of the competition almost goes to contempt, Moff. You know what I mean? Like a chick that is thinking that, oh, you know, my house is better than your place because it's got more square feet, or I got 10-foot ceilings, you only got 9-foot ceilings, or, you know, my car or my dad's car or something like that. It's like she has a little bit of contempt for you. It's not overt in the sense where it's like, oh, you know, you're such a loser, or like, why can't you do this properly sort of thing, or why don't you know how to change a tire? It's just in the sense where it's like, if she's competing with you, or she's trying to compete with you, or she's trying to compare aspects of her life to you, she has a little bit of contempt for you. She's like, why do I have to compete with this guy? Like, I don't want to compete with this guy. I have to line up my shit to compare it with his shit and tell him that his shit's kind of really like not up to par with my shit sort of thing. Like, this is where the competition sort of takes it. You know what I mean? It takes it to a level of contempt. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I can think of a couple different examples. Like, and for me, it was two examples and 2 girls that come to mind. The one was like the ex, the major ex, like the red pilling of ex, the red pilled ex. For her, it was more of, she was obsessed with, like, this is when I lived in New York. She was obsessed with like the bougie stuff. She wanted to live above her means. It was more important that she showed status. She wanted to live in the financial district, even though that she lived. It was funny because her and 2 of her best friends, they lived in what was technically a studio with a closet, and they turned that into a 3-bedroom place with 3 girls. So they had a main room, which is the studio, and then so they used these temporary walls for her 2 roommates, and then the girl that I was dating had the closet. It was a closet because it had no windows. It was like a home office with no windows, and it was just tiny. I mean, you could touch like the walls on either side, but it always made a big to do because I lived in Queens, right? So I didn't live in Manhattan. I didn't live in fancy schmancy financial district and down on Wall Street. You know, when I didn't have clothes from like Calvin Klein, I didn't shop at Gucci and all this stupid stuff. And that was the competition for her. It was, we always made kind of the same amount of money. She started making a little bit more during COVID because my industry shut down and hers was thriving. But really, it was more about the who's who, and we're always going to hang out at her place. Whereas it was a miracle when she would come over the river, like come hang out with my place or come hang out with my friends. She always wanted to do things on her terms, and it was just, yeah, like I'm this like boyfriend from the slums that's the project that she's working on, sort of this like check out this nice science, check out my science project that I'm molding into this thing that I want him to be. And yeah, it was, looking back, it was just, you know, how most guys are, I'm sure. It's like, oh yeah, like I'll just do, if she wants to take the lead and she wants to compete or this and that, then okay, cool. Like that means I don't have to lift a finger, and then she can do whatever she wants to do, and I'll just be along for the ride. But after all that stuff obviously went belly up, and I dated a girl for a little while, a couple of months, and she really liked to do the banter stuff. It's always funny because there's so many girls, they put this stuff on their dating apps, like, oh, like I go crazy for witty banter. Like, can you keep up with me? Can you deal with my sarcasm?
Mm.
And it's like, because that's what women love from guys. Like, women love a guy that can, talk some smack and can put her in her place, because wit and humor are, precursors to intelligence. And so, but there was this girl that, I would run my mouth and I would, pull pranks on her and I would make fun of her and stuff. And she would always want to give it back to me, or she would do it unprompted. And it was just like, man, it's the most annoying thing in the entire world. It's just absolutely exhausting when, even when you're trying to be relatively serious about something and she's like looking for an opportunity to take a dig at you or throw in a jab. And I remember the one time that I ever confronted her on it, I was like, man, do you have any idea how annoying that is? And she, like, it immediately dropped, and she just, like, it was like I had smacked a puppy, and the
Mm.
whole facade sort of fell down, and she was really taken aback by it. And she's like, well, you do it all the time, and so I'm just trying to keep up with you, and you do it, so it makes me think that I should do it. It's just like, no, that's enough. Like, you like it when I do it. I can't stand when you do it. Like, obviously, needless to
You know
say,
what
it
this
didn't
is,
work
dude?
out ultimately, but yeah.
When you really think about it, women watch guys' behaviors, right? Like we
Yeah.
get in the workforce, we get a career, we
Emulate it.
make some money, we buy a nice car. And then women are like, oh, okay, then I'll get in the workforce, I'll make some money, I'll get a career, I'll buy a nice car. And then, they'll see guys, because this is innate behavior for guys. Like, we always kind of shit talk each other. It's just in us, sort of
Mhm.
thing. I think I've said this before, on a live show, but men will talk shit to their friend's face and protect them behind their back, and women will talk shit behind other women's back but be nice to their face. So they're a little bit different the way that they operate, for men. But I think what they're trying to do is they're just trying to take another play out of the masculine playbook and be like, oh, well, if this makes Moff and his friends like each other more, then let me come along and poke and jab and compete with them.
I'm like
And
one of the guys,
yeah,
that
like,
whole
I'm one of the
thing. Like, you're
guys, like,
just like
that'll be
one of the
hot sort of
boys.
thing.
Yeah.
Except
And it's just
for
like,
it's
oh my
not.
God. I don't want to date any of my dude friends. Like, it's not ever my thing. And it didn't work out because, and she could never put that stuff away. She could never stop it, as much as I, it just got to the point where I was like, I'm just not dealing with this anymore. And plus then I was going to leave New York anyway. And I just kind of like ghosted her at this point. It just didn't work out. But yeah, those were the two instances that I remember. And, it again, it's like I've dated girls since then that have not even tried to pull that stuff, and it's just not in their nature, not in their DNA. Or there's always going to be competency tests, SHIT tests, essentially, but you can pretty much quell that at the beginning if you know what you're doing. Like, it's never going to stop. Like, a woman's never going to stop testing you, even girls that you're dating, like, it's
Yeah.
months, years. But yeah, that was a major thing that I noticed, where she was competing. One girl was competing monetarily, and she was competing playing like the status game. And when you're
Mhm.
with a woman like that, she can never look up to you if she's always treating you like this project, right? Like the art project boyfriend, the science project, the thing that I'm building up and tinkering with to turn into my perfect beta, building a better beta. She'll
Mhm.
never be able to look up to you. She's always going to look down on you. And that eventually she'll trade you in for the dude that's just like, bitch, shut up. Like, don't talk to me like that. You must be out of your mind. Like, what are you what are you, crazy? Like,
Mhm.
you live in a studio with 3 other girls and you're talking to me about being bougie. Like, let's call it what it is. So in any case, yeah, it's a huge one that guys need to look out for.
So to recap, essentially, it's disrespect is really what it boils down to. Because if a woman adores you and she admires you and she sees you as a giant, she's not going to challenge you on silly hokey pokey things and like poke the bear. So look at that fucking joke. They're just not going to do that. She's going to look for ways to embed herself into your life. What can I do as a woman to be useful in this man's life, to help him out, to make it better, to help him more accomplished, to help him resolve things. And then the other part of the competition with you is it's a precursor to contempt, and contempt is the clock that will tick down to the end of a relationship. A woman that's competing with you, even if it's in a playful way, and like I said when I read it from the chapter in the book, and it seems cute at first, a lot of the times I thought it was cute as well, until it's not, until you're in a long-term relationship, or maybe you're living with them, or maybe you're married, and it's like, this was fun 3 or 4 years ago, maybe a little bit, because you thought it was cool, because that's what everybody else thought was cool. But then when you're living in with it, and it's just like, it's continuous, and then it transitions from competition to contempt, and contempt will end the relationship. A
There's
woman
always
won't
truth in
stay with a
jest.
guy. What's that?
I was just gonna hit. There's always truth in jest, right? So if there's
Yeah,
throwing these little digs and little jabs, like there's always some truth behind. Like, oh, I'm just joking. I'm just messing around. It's like, no, there's
there's always
always
truth in
some
a joke.
underlying truth there. Yeah, for sure. So, and if it's again every now and then super innocuous, and maybe a girl's doing it just to get some attention, or maybe she wants to chase you around, get you to chase her around the bedroom or whatever, which is go for it, man, go nuts. But yeah, if it's a regular pattern, watch out, man. Like that's a big indicator that the respect is out the window and contempt is right around the corner.
And you're probably gonna have to deal with a little bit, guys, as you're kind of managing into like moving into like the maintenance phase of the long-term relationship. But just putting your foot down, not engaging, like save the jabs for you and your friends. You really shouldn't be playing that game with a woman. It's like it just, you're kind of treating her like one of the guys, and she's trying to treat you like a little brother. Like, she's giving you a little noogie on the head, like you little loser, kind of like scrubbing you on the head sort of thing.
Jesus.
It's
Yeah.
like
Never
don't
that.
don't ever let it get to that. Put your foot down and say, look, don't talk to me like that. Don't behave that way. She tries to, my house or my car, but I'm just like, just laugh and just be like, bitch, please, you don't know what I got here. Okay. Just handle it. Very, very important to handle it. Don't ignore that. All right, guys, I really hope that you enjoyed that clip. If you want to check out the full-length podcast episode, you can find that right over here. Also, make sure you visit my website over here, where you'll find my supplements, the opportunity to book me privately one-on-one for coaching, and most importantly, my new School of Unplugging, which you'll find on the courses tab. Newer to the channel, hit subscribe.